Okay. All right. Just getting all set up here. I've got a new efficient system for scheduling clients and it's not working. So I'm going to have to fix that up. Just trying to get more efficient. So anyway, that's what I was working on. Hello. Just getting organized here. Okay. Welcome to the live. While we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? So I've got Leslie here. Leslie Matthias. Is that how you pronounce that? Elaine Muniz Gonzalez. That's as close as I'm going to get to. I coach people all over the world and I ruin so many names. Getting better though. Okay, so Tina and Goody Elizabeth. I'm in upstate New York, Alexander Bay. Why aren't you out waving the flag and having a parade? I thought Americans were all out partying like crazy. You guys know how to celebrate, I'll tell you. I was down in the state, I'm Canadian. I was down in the States once years and years ago, and it wasn't even a big holiday. And it was, I think in Portland, Oregon, and it was in the 70s, the late 70s. There was parades, everyone was wearing red, white, and blue. It wasn't even a big holiday. I thought, wow, what have I landed into? It's just celebration. Yeah, we celebrate Canada Day, which is July 1st. And but we don't celebrate it the same way you do. We get the day off, but yeah. Okay, so I don't know how many people I'm going to get in the live because it is 4th of July in America. So happy 4th of July to all my American friends. And anyway, okay, so let's get going. Oh, it's Terry in St. John, New Brunswick. Hello. I'm just asking people where they're from. Okay, this is Peyton. We're getting ready to head out for fireworks. Yeah, it wasn't as celebratory this year. Oh, okay. Why not? It's probably political. I don't know. Okay, so let's get going with the live. I'll introduce myself. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go to my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board when you sign up to the newsletter, my courses, coaching, and you can look into our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we also save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do the podcast. It's a mother-daughter team. Oh, because it's hot and I'm due in August with baby number 2. Okay. August. Wow. Okay. So you're in that heavy month. I remember I felt like a whale in that last month. It just belly's just hanging on to you. You're not carrying the belly. It's carrying you at that stage. Oh, trying to sleep in that last month. Okay. So I'm just going to answer your questions when they start coming in. And yeah, I like to throw other stuff in too, because most questions revolve around discipline, which is not what I'm all about at all. I'm about connecting with kids more than discipline. North Carolina, howdy, Sharon. North Carolina, I got a lot of Southern clients. Actually, not right now. I think I've only got a couple, but this year I've had a lot of Southern clients. Huge portion of my clients are Jewish. This year, different years, different things, right? Yeah, happy 4th of July to American friends. You guys know how to celebrate. Whit Sunday, Australia. I never made it there. I was in Australia for 20 years. I arrived there. I got pregnant the day I arrived, and I never traveled around. I was just pregnant and sick and then raising kids in the suburbs. So I never traveled around Australia in all those years. Nevada. Hi, Katina. Ohio, Betsy. Betsy. Oh, I've never seen it spelled like that. It's cute. Okay, so go ahead, ask your questions if you want. Florida. Hi, Ramy in Florida. I don't know why, but I've been hearing a lot more about Florida lately. Why is that? Oh, I know part of it is I listen to a lot of Bethany Frankel. She's moving down to Miami, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot more about Florida. Never been there. I want to get everywhere one day. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions if you have any. If not, okay. Okay, Betsy, we just found you and I'm definitely considering the course, especially after our past cruise. LOL. Holidays, you've got a lot of leverage on vacation. Like, I can't go into great detail, if you haven't seen the behavior board already, but basically there's rules and consequences on the behavior board. You can have rules when you're away. They're just different. And then if they break a rule, you just say, okay, we were going to go down to the pool at 9. Now we're going to go at 9:30 because you broke the rule. So because when you're on holiday or on vacation, there's usually things that there's activities that the kids are excited about. You just defer them for a half hour. You were never going to go down till 9:30 anyway. They don't have to know that. So yeah, that's how you use leverage when you're on vacation. Never take them away early, because then you're going to have one hell of a night. You always defer the fun. You don't end it early. That is trouble. Oh, you're very welcome, Peyton. Oklahoma. Sherry. I don't even know where that is. Midwest? Moncton, New Brunswick. I've actually heard of that, New Brunswick. I mean, Moncton. I've heard of Moncton. Okay, I heard you mention in a podcast that you were adopted. Yep. As a guardian from a kinship placement, I'd love to know if you have any specific advice for adoptive parents. No, just parent like any other parent. But I was told that being adopted, I always felt really special, and because I was chosen, right? So to me, being adopted was like, I just always felt kind of special because of it. So, and also secrets imply shame. The more secrets you keep, the more shame there is. So just think about that. So yeah, be really open with your kids, and don't treat adoption like, well, we've got something to tell you, Johnny. It's like, no, here's what happened. We chose you, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's, I love being adopted. So one thing is, when you're adopted, you know for sure you're wanted. That's for sure. My 7 and 4-year-olds always fight. How can I get them to just get along? There's lots of different methods for that. You can put on the behavior board, no, you can't put no fighting, but you can put down, if one tends, no grabbing stuff off the other. That's what causes a lot of fights. So you can put down no grabbing stuff off the other, or no taking other kids' toy when they're playing, or something like that. So you can start there, use the behavior board. It's free on the website when you join the newsletter. And you can start there. But I got lots of other things. I won't go into all the different methods here. You discuss neurotypical children, and I love your advice. What are your thoughts on children in special education that have disabilities? A teacher's perspective. Yeah, though I've worked with a lot of those kids, but that's coaching only. I don't give general advice with that stuff. But could I give any general advice? I've just worked with so many kids with special needs. Depends. No, they're all sort of different. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that I just talk about neurotypical. Like a lot of kids that I do talk about, or a lot of these methods work with all kids. So I would give it a go. Maybe with some kids who have more challenges, it might take a little bit more patience. But really, I lead with fun and love. And you can't go wrong with any kid with that, right? So, yeah. I remember years ago, this is just kind of off track, but years ago, I used to volunteer. I was in my 20s, and I was always working, like doing something with kids, volunteering. So I thought, I'll go to this hospital. I said, what's the hardest gig when it comes to volunteering in Vancouver? And they said, oh, that would be Sunny Hill Hospital. It's long-term. They'll never get out of care, right? These are kids' worst of the worst situations. So they were all bedridden, highly medicated to avoid seizures. They all had shunts in their heads. It was really difficult. So they said, yeah, that is the most challenging. So I thought, great, that's where I'll go. Anyway, I did it for 2 years. And when I first started there, it was really difficult to connect with these kids because they had seemingly no cognitive function. So I said, well, is there any way of connecting, or will I know if they know me? Like, is there a way? And they said, oh, yes. When they relax when you pick them up, because when someone new picks them up, or someone inexperienced or new picks them up, they stiffen because they've got these shunts, and it can be quite uncomfortable if someone picks them up wrong. And when they know you, they will completely relax when they're comfortable with you. And I remember that, and I thought that was what I was waiting for. And that was one of the most challenging connections I ever had to make. Troubled teens I've worked with, easy. These kids were challenging. I thought, how am I going to feel connected? And I remember the first time that happened, I picked this kid up who had always stiffened every time I picked him up. And then he just went completely limp. And so, yeah, I'm all about connecting with kids. So it doesn't really matter what's going on with them. There's always a way of connecting. Michelle from Ontario. Hello. Coloring and crafts bore them. Science projects, magic tricks. A lot of kids like I don't like magic. I never did. But a lot of kids like card tricks, magic tricks, science, a little bit more dynamic kind of stuff. A lot of kids like that. I used to have baskets full of stuff like that for my kids. So I just pulled down, here's the magic basket. So yeah. New Zealand. Hello, Paula. We used to ski in Queenstown. If anyone knows Queenstown, you would be in love with it like I was. It was the most charming village. You almost felt like you weren't even in the world. It is so removed from the rest of the world and so quaint and beautiful and friendly. And I loved it. Kingston, that's Ontario, right? There might be another Kingston. So Allison, hi. Okay. Foster parent, I don't usually talk about fostering, but I'm going to read this out from Carmen. Foster parent in Canada. Our own son is only one, but we have fostered teens in the past. Good for you. And may have another one soon. 16-year-old boy. Wondering if you can give a quick how to parent a teen, how to build relationship, how much freedom, phone restriction. Okay. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. They're my favorite age. Number 1, you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. They will tune you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They usually already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity, mutual respect. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. And then, do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off, okay? Or do you want to hear what I did this morning? We all do dumb things. Allow them to make mistakes. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents do this. I'll teach them how to connect with their teenager. And I say, once I've taught you how to connect, do not discuss the bad times. Every so often, one will slip through and do it. And then they get the finger and the teenager shuts them out again. So when do you discuss the bad times with teenagers? Never. You deal with them, but you don't discuss them. Your revenge, it's revenge. That's why you want to talk about it. Your revenge is when they have their own teenagers and they complain to you and you can go, oh, that's a shame. It's a slow burn, but okay. And number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. That could be said with any relationship really, but think about it. Yeah, teens will die on every hill. Even if they know they're wrong, they'll keep fighting. So what's the point? Give it up. Just say, yeah, okay, I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it later. Don't say, we'll talk about it later when you've calmed down. That's it's an accelerator. So be careful with your words. Yeah, I love teenagers. They're absolutely my favorite age. When I first started my business, I specialized in teen crisis work and I just loved it. And then I realized, you know what might even be better is if we prevent that stuff. So that's why I deal with all ages now. But Alaska, hello, Sherry. Nice and warm there, probably. Brittany, Kentucky. Excellent. Thanks, Brittany. Hope my little feels the same way. I don't know what you mean. Okay. When I'm trying to enforce consequences, my 4-year-old hits, kicks, headbutts me. I don't know what you mean by enforce. You just take something away? Yeah, just physically restrain them if they're getting violent. So I don't use the word enforce, but if you're using the behavior board and they break a rule, then you have 2 consequences for them. So the first one is a positive action, which is a chore or something. If they won't do that, then you resort to the second one, which is a negative deprivation. You take something away. That's when they hit you, I'm guessing. So you just physically restrain them, but don't talk about it. Just physically restrain them. They're just mad. I have 5 kids, 21, 10, 3, 2, and 3 months. Wow. 21, 10, no, big splits there. My first 2 kids seem really easy, but I was a lot younger. My 3 and 2-year-olds feed off each other. Maybe because you've got them so close in age too, because your first kids were 9 years apart. That makes a big difference too. One-on-one, they're pretty good and listen to me, but when they're together, I can't get them to listen. How do I make them listen when they're together? By the way, I'm in Wyoming. Okay, Monica, 3 and 2. Okay, check out my free behavior board. It'll teach you how to discipline a 3-year-old and above. And then it has a little blurb on a little lesson in toddlers also, which is under 3. You might want to check that out. But really, we're not after them listening. We're after them making good choices. But 2-year-olds don't tend to do that. 2-year-olds are all about consistent corrective actions, not words. 3-year-olds are all about consequences. That's why I use the behavior board. There's a rule and a consequence. So yeah, you're just kind of in the thick of it too. 2-year-olds are kind of crazy. I'm going to read out, because they haven't developed common sense yet, or the ability to stop and think before they act. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. I got lots of videos on that. If you Google BratBusters toy rotation, tons of videos will come up. Number 3, connect with toddlers in their world, not yours. Okay, don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They look at you differently. Number 4, discipline toddlers in their world. Again, they're not about words. They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions. All these really popular mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions is stupid. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. That's for you. That's not for them. They're not about words. And they don't need a therapy session at 2 years old. Number 5, stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable as they haven't formed yet. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just forming. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Figure that one out. I don't know. I'm going to read this out. It's kind of long. Crystal on YouTube. My 3-year-old has recently stopped napping and now struggles to go to sleep at night. She has a wonderful teacher who often said, Amy gets what Amy wants. My daughter's name's Amy too. And while I truly believe this teacher was amazing, I can't help but feel that this mindset may have unintentionally contributed to some of the current sleep challenges. I don't think so. That doesn't add up to me. No. Yeah, you might want to check out my course. I have both courses have the bedtime battles in it. Bedtime battles, I call it bedtime battles. It's in 2 parts. The first part is how to get them to bed. You have a routine and, brush their teeth, get in their jammies, then read in bed to them. Then at whatever time you want them to go to sleep, lights out. Then you just basically keep putting them back to bed without talking to them. It's a little bit more involved than that. But yeah, I don't see how that would affect bedtime. Yeah, I don't see it. I can't connect those two, unless there's other stuff I don't know about. Okay, so you're living in a 3-generational home. This is Maddie. I got clients all over the world. I get this a lot. And then I'll say to the parents to say to their parents, please don't undermine my parenting. And my clients will say to me, I can't say that to my parents. In our culture, we don't say stuff like that. So it is tricky. It is tricky. But yeah, if you can, I would say, please, please don't undermine my parenting. Let me lead the way. If you want to give them candy, please ask me first, kind of thing. Not in front of the kids, though. So yeah, see how that goes. But I work with a lot of multi-generational things, households and different cultures where they literally can't say anything. I've got some of them that are 4 generations, like my client, their kids, and then their parents and grandkids all live under the same roof. It's often big mansions. But they're all usually always in the same kitchen, evidently. So they all have this huge kitchen where they congregate, but then they sort of have separate wings. A lot of them, not always. Sometimes they're in not a huge house and they're all stuck together. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's tricky. Okay, I've got to go over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. But in the meantime, check out bratbusters.com. You can get my free behavior board if you sign up for my newsletter. You can look at my courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. And you can look into coaching and you can see our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We do 2 a week. And it's my daughter and I. We work together. We're best friends. And we do the podcast together. She does all the marketing and all the planning for the business. I could run the business without her, but it would be very, very difficult. She's in charge of her stuff and I do mine. We actually don't work together except on the podcast. It's the only time we're ever together because we have completely separate roles in the business. It just works beautifully. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm filming a live, not a podcast, whenever I'm filming a live. Happy parenting. Bye now. Sorry, YouTube. I'm just button pushing right now. Tons and tons of buttons. Okay, there we go. And if you do direct message me, my daughter, I think, sees most of them, but I don't see any of them. I don't look at comments or DMs. Every once in a while, maybe once every month or two, I might go through. If I'm at the gym, I might answer a few comments, but we just don't have to. We've got like a couple million followers now. We just can't get to everything. That's why we've got the podcast, and that's why I do the lives. This is where I answer questions. Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. It's 4th of July, so we'll see how many people turn up. I'm Canadian. We had Canada Day on July 1st. So we had that. Well, I never take a day off, but that's at what age do you just let them cry to sleep? That's sleep training with a baby is what you're talking about. I'm assuming. So yeah, I don't like talking about that because I don't like doing it. But I sleep trained both my kids at 10 months old. I think it was about 10 months old. I hated it. I just hated it. But I went in every 5 minutes or so. I patted them on the back, laid them back down. You're all right. And then I went back out again. It was maybe more frequent. I don't remember. I think it was every minute initially, then every 2 minutes, and then it only took one night. But I went in, you're all right. And then I pat them on the back, put them down. Then they stood up screaming again, but I left the room. And I sat outside their door crying into a pillow. It was torture. And it was worse on me. I felt very sorry for myself. It was torture. Because I am of the mindset that if a baby cries, you pick them up. That's just what I do. And so for my babies to cry in the middle of the night and to not pick them up, it was torture. But I also believe that they didn't need to be breastfed at that. They just want playtime at 2 a.m. So I thought, yeah, this has got to end. Okay, any recommendations for 4-year-old twin boys sharing a room, won't stay in bed, they make each other silly, also sometimes start hitting when trying to get them to stay in bed? I got a few different things I've done with parents who have kids in the same room, twins or just different ages. And usually I work on one kid at a time. So I have the other kid sleep on a mattress in your room while you're sleep training the other one. So sleep training is the bedtime battles. You keep walking them back to bed. You don't talk to them, get them sorted out. And then, so they learn how to just stay in bed. And then you do it then you bring that one in your room, put the other one and train them. Check out my bedtime or my courses. Yeah, both of them have bedtime battles in there. I just went into more detail when I was on Facebook, so I don't feel like talking about it again. But yeah, if you want to know anything, you can just about what I talk about, just Google BratBusters bedtime or BratBusters anything. I got hundreds or thousands of videos out there, thousands of videos. Anyway, welcome. I haven't introduced myself yet here. Because I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live, and then I hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So I just came out of Facebook. Anyway, thanks for joining me. My name's Lisa. Did I already do this? Doesn't matter. I'll do it again. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, you can get my free behavior board. If you sign up for the newsletter, you can look at my 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into private coaching one-on-one with me, or you can see our podcast, BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. And she's in charge of all that stuff. An 18-month-old suddenly screams and fights diaper changes. Any advice? Yep. Just hold them down. Both my kids really didn't scream, but they both started doing the crocodile roll at around that age. I don't remember what age. Anyway, and then I just put my arm across their chest, and then I held their legs, and then I basically just using my teeth, maybe. I don't know how I did it. But anyway, I just got their diaper on. And just got to struggle through and don't talk to them. If they're fighting, that's when I shut down. If they're doing something I don't like, I don't talk to them. I'm just changing the diaper, getting it done, and then it's over. But yeah, I don't negotiate. If I get you a toy, will you? Yeah, I don't feed it. They didn't fight with me for very long. They fought longer with their dad. He was more inclined to try and give them a toy or something. So they were kind of winning. Whereas with me, they thought there's no point. She's not going to let me off here. So yeah, just overpower them physically to get that diaper on. That's all. How to boost child self-esteem if they are hard on themselves after breaking rules. Well, there's no shame in breaking rules. There's just accountability. Like if the kid makes a mistake, like let's say my kids had messed up and they were late for something or whatever, they'd say, oh, I was late. How about no TV tonight? And I'd say, that's too much. Just brush my hair for 5 minutes. So there shouldn't be any shame in making mistakes. That comes from you. That came from you. You would have shamed them, blamed them, discussed bad behavior, discussed their mistakes. I don't do any of that. So yeah, there's no shaming with any of this. You never want to make a kid feel bad. It's okay if they're mad because there's a consequence, no problem with that. But you never want them to feel bad about themselves for breaking a rule because you're on there too. You're going to be breaking rules too on the behavior board, or you should be because you're showing them how it's done. It's okay to not be perfect. Yeah, you've got a twin, 1.5-year-old girl. Oh, boy, twin, wait a minute, almost 4-year-old boy, twin 1.5-year-old girls. And you're asking me what you can do when they're hitting and throwing things while you're breastfeeding. Not much. This is on YouTube, Susie. Not much. Sorry about that, but no, physically, it's all physical when they're that age. So the only thing that you can do is maybe put one on either side of you before you can maybe prevent some of that. So whenever you're going to sit down to breastfeed, put each one on either side and give them a little basket of things to do. I always had goodie bags ready. So just different things that I threw in. It was just a little goodie bag, something for them to do. Okay. Good question. I get this a lot. Once my 4-year-old loses media for their negative deprivation because they didn't do their consequence, how do you handle it if they continue to hit or bad things? I feel like I lost control. Yeah. What's happened, what they said is because whenever you have a rule and a consequence for kids, there's always 2 consequences. So on the behavior board, it's free on my website, you have a rule. Let's say the rule is no hitting. If they hit, you go to the first consequence, which is a positive action. It's usually just a chore and you have to time it, like wash a window within 10 minutes, whatever. So anyway, and then they don't do that. Then you go to the second consequence. If they won't do the first one, you go to the second one. And then that would be the negative deprivation. Okay, so you take something away for 24 hours. Let's say it's screens. It's usually 24 hours of no screens. So, and then what this parent is saying, well, what do I do if they keep hitting throughout that? Well, nothing. The only thing you can do is say, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. It is one hell of an awful 24 hours. They've got free reign because they know you've got no leverage. You can't get them to do the first consequence because you've got nothing to resort to. You can't double it and keep adding to it. You just say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. Here's the thing. You're never investing in today. You're investing in tomorrow. They're going to think twice before they do that again. So, but you got to go through that 24 hours. Everyone wants the rainbow, but you got to go through the storms first. And you got to stay calm. If you're upset during the storms, it doesn't work as well. It can still sort of work, but the calmer you are, the better. That's like that 8-year-old that I first met. I was asked to work with him. I'd heard of him, but I'd never met him. And anyway, they asked me to work with him. So I sat down, I said, hi. I said, so you want to get to work? And he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. You could see it in his face. It's like, oh, she knows what she's doing. I have no fear of a storm. None. Bring it on. Because I know that's how I can increase my leadership. Because it doesn't bother me at all. Oh, you're going to have a fit? Okay, I'll be filing my nails. I'll be waiting. You see? Doesn't bother me at all. So that 24 hours, you got to look like you're just that 24 hours. Well, and he hits again. You physically restrain him, when you can. But then you just say, well, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. Maybe say that once or twice. You're investing in tomorrow. Oh, good. I gave you Susie Q. I gave her some idea about how to handle the twins. God, you're in the thick of it. Oh, wow. 4-year-old, 1.5-year-old twins, and a newborn. This is the physical time, by the way. Toddlers it's my least favorite age, toddlers. They're cute as a button. But the reason, I love them when it's a controlled environment. I am very stressed out when I'm out with toddlers because I'm worried about someone grabbing them or them running off. So I'm always like heightened, I'm worried about them walking into a wall. They're dangerous. They're all feet, no brains, like with my granddaughter. I have her 1 day a week. She's 18 months old. I watch her like a hawk. And there's a park that I take her to whenever I'm there. And now they've got a coyotes in the area. Well, you should see me. I'm hovering over her, looking around. Yeah, it scares me because they're little accidents waiting to happen. Then they're just walking along, and next thing you know, they fall. So that's why it's my least favorite age. But at home, they're great at home when it's a controlled environment. When I'm out with them, that's when I get this heightened sense of stay away. My almost 4-year-old will say, I'll never get to watch TV again, whatever the consequence for it. Is that attitude? Oh, just ignore that. Say, oh, whatever. Just ignore that. What he's doing is he's going like this, trying to fish hook you, right? Just go, oh, okay, whatever. You hate me, I hate me, everybody. Alrighty. Don't get pulled into that stuff. It's manipulation. Any way to undo if you previously lectured? Now we do your method, but he seems stuck on explaining how it is his fault. He seems so stuck on explaining how it is his fault. So he wants you to explain it, or he explains it. I don't understand that. If you lectured, so you were lecturing, just don't do it. Just say, well, okay, I'll try and set up a scenario here. So let's say that you're using the behavior board and you say the rule is no hitting. And then he hits and there's a consequence. And then he says, but I don't understand. Is that what it is? And then you lecture. So you're not doing that anymore. If he says, I don't understand, I forgot, just go like this. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? Or you'll learn as we go. The more you explain, the more they complain. And the more you talk about bad behavior, the worse they feel. You don't want kids to feel bad. It's okay if they're mad. You don't want them to feel bad. That's the pool story. Check out the pool story. It kind of synopsizes my whole theory on how you treat children. It's a true story, and it is. If you just Google BratBusters pool story, it'll come up. And I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. So if they do something bad, I deal with it, and then I focus on and bring the good out in them. I want them to feel good. But it's not always possible. If they're screaming and that, just go, whatever. Don't get pulled into that stuff. Something came up the other day, and it was, I won't go into it, but they said, here's the thing. You don't want to be able to relate to a parenting coach. What I mean by that is if you're going to take advice from someone about parenting, you don't want them to be struggling or have struggled. You want them to know what they're doing, because there's a lot of things like weight loss. You want to be able to relate. It's great to take advice from someone who's been larger and how they got small. With parenting, you don't want that. You want someone who kind of figured it out, who knew what to do right from day one, right through the teen years, because you don't want to relate to a parenting coach. Does that make any sense? It's just something came up with someone and they were saying, but that person's so relatable. They struggle too. And they go, just be careful with that. Because there's a lot of advice out there. I don't know anyone out there, so I don't know. But yeah, you want someone who really, it's one of those things that you want someone who really has nailed it. They just get it. It's like I wouldn't take financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It's the same idea. I deal with a lot of clients too who have taken advice from someone that they related to, and because they're also struggling. Yeah, you don't want that. And I struggle with a lot of stuff, but kids, not at all. He says everything is his fault. I am not smart. Oh, he's going down the self-pity route, trying to pull you in. Just say, that's not true. Yeah, just talk like that. Oh, that's not true. He's trying to pull you in. You know what that says to me? I think he said he was 4. That says to me that it's worked in the past. He's going down that road because it's worked. Past the age of 3 years and 9 months, they only do what works. Okay, this one's a tough one. And this is Remy8462 on YouTube. If I accidentally yell, I do apologize and take accountability, but I need to take time to cool down. You got to make amends too. What's your consequence for yelling? You have to make amends. My kids want me to play or make it up immediately. How can I tell them? Oh, just say, we'll play at a certain time. I'll be back in 10. Don't say I need time to quiet down. It makes you look weak. Okay, makes you look weak. Just don't say. I'll tell you what. We'll play in a half an hour. Okay, set the timer. Say we'll play in 30 minutes, and then do it that way. But don't tell them you need time. Don't do that. I could feel a lecture coming on about that one. I won't go on about it, but don't do it. Yeah, you're driving me nuts. I have to get away from you for a few minutes first. You don't do that. It makes you look weak. And it's insulting to them too. If they're that annoying that you need space from them, it insults them and it makes you look weak. It's a double whammy. It's really bad. Yeah, I could feel it. I could feel a lecture coming up. I'm going to drop it. Okay. 7-year-old hates no for an answer and retaliating verbally. Lots of negotiation, trying his luck, but he will go all out before giving in. That's okay. That's on him. Just follow through. Use the behavior board. You might want to check into my boot camp course. It goes from 3 to 12 years old. You might want to check into that. It's a 5-week program on how to set yourself up as a leader. So he won't do that. They don't argue with a leader because there's no point. Like if my kids had said, if I'd said no to my kids and they went, not fair, I would have gone, what? They just don't talk like that to a leader. And it's not, you don't want obedient soldiers. You want kids who feel respected and heard, and they give it back. When you feel good, you do good. When you feel bad, you do bad. Okay, I always want kids to feel good when they're with me. If they feel bad, if you're making your kids feel bad, you're doing it wrong. You want them to feel good. They can be mad, but you want them to feel good about themselves overall. You never want to hit them in the self-esteem. What if we yell because we are running late? Do we schedule a playtime for? Yeah, you say, okay, so when we get home, then we'll play. Like you do the consequence when you can. Like you're not in the supermarket and playing hide and seek for 10 minutes because you just yelled at them. Say, okay, I yelled. When we get home, we'll play hide and seek. It's like that. Yeah, thank you. I've been saying I need space from them. I didn't consider how insulting it was and was making them make me look weak. Think about it if your spouse said to you, I just need time away from you. Yeah, it's a real kick in the teeth. I always say, it's amazing that if you think about what you're saying and equate it to your marriage or your partner, think about it. Like it'd be like reward charts. Imagine if your spouse said, you've been really good today. I'm going to give you a gold star. I hate reward charts. That's why. Wouldn't you? Well, you know what I'm thinking. What the heck are you talking about? You see? And yet you do it with your kids. I hate reward charts. They're insulting. They're nasty. And they work at school. School is not home. Home is not school. They're personal business. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs. That's work. They struggle with parenting. It's personal. They're just different, totally different. Do you know I've never been hired that I know of from a youth worker? A youth worker specializes in troubled teenagers, which is my specialty too. If you can show respect and get it back with a troubled youth, you don't need my help. That's the PhD in all this. It's how to have the utmost patience in giving respect to get it back. That is a youth worker. That's what they do. I've never been hired by a youth worker that I know of. I would probably be able to tell. Sometimes people try and hide their jobs from me, especially child psychologists. I can usually tell. Okay. How would you regulate computer games for young teens? You can just say you've got 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day, 7 hours a week. You decide and you keep track of it. And you negotiate it with them. Say, what do you think's fair? I'm thinking 10 hours a week, and they might say 20. Say, how about 15 then? Negotiate, compromise, and see how it goes. Try that. Okay. You said 3-year-old boy not listening and hitting baby brother. Okay, so you just put no hitting on the behavior board. The behavior board is completely free, and I think no hitting is the example that I use, or one of them. It's a mini course. It's completely free. You got to sign up for the newsletter to get it. That's why a lot of people get confused. I didn't get the behavior board. You got to sign up, and you can't. Okay. If you collect an email from someone legally as a business, you cannot just start sending them stuff. It's like against the law that you have to give permission for me to send you stuff. It's just the way it is. So that's why it's set up the way it is. Anyway, so check out the behavior board and put down no hitting is the rule, and follow through and protect them, and don't leave them alone with the baby. Can't trust them. Okay, I've got to go over to TikTok now. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board if you sign up for the newsletter. You can look at my boot camp course for toddlers, my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. If you want to work with me one-on-one, there's a wait list for coaching if you're interested. Or you can look into the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and it's also saved on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I do it together. She's not a parent yet, but she runs all the marketing, all the planning. She's brilliant at business, and I'm not. So she runs all that stuff. And so she asks the questions, and I do my best to answer them. And she knows exactly how to push my buttons too to get me all riled up. She knows exactly what gets me into a lecture. So sometimes we get the giggles. In other words, she has to edit all that stuff out. But anyway, so thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to TikTok now. Happy parenting.
You can totally.
Oh, am I on the right one? Go live. I was on the wrong platform yesterday. I'm pretty sure I'm on the right one. I've got 2 TikTok channels. One is just my old lady fitness one. And I wish I'd called it that. It's not what I called it. Old lady fitness, and it's funny. Okay, am I on the right channel? I'm on BratBusters one, the parenting one, right? Maybe someone could confirm that there. Anyway, okay, I'll just get going. By the way, thanks so much for... I'm on the right channel, aren't I? Parenting one. Maybe someone could confirm. One of my regulars could maybe confirm that. You know, sometimes I mess up and I end up... Oh, thank you. I end up in the wrong one. Like yesterday I did that. What a dope. Anyway, I've done that so many times. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I just want to thank you for your support here on TikTok. I hit 900,000 last week. This is where I started really going on social media, was TikTok, and blew up overnight, much to my shock, horror. And I didn't know what was going on. It was so shocking. Anyway, I just want to say thanks so much for your support. I'm blown away by that. I can't believe it. So, you know, I've been teaching this for 20 years, and then I was going along fine. And then I just blew up a couple of years ago, changed our lives, really. By the way, I don't get paid here on TikTok. Someone said, oh, you're making all this money. That's why you do the lives. Canadians don't get paid on TikTok, okay? They don't pay us. So not there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, I don't know why, but they've blacklisted us on TikTok. Okay, it's fine. Happy 4th. Yeah, I'm Canadian. We had Canada Day on July 1st, and today is 4th of July, which is the American Day, 4th of July. So I can't believe people are turning up for this live, actually, because most of my followers are American. And anyway, happy 4th of July. You guys know how to celebrate. I'll tell you. I was down in the States for one. It wasn't even a big day. It was, I can't remember what it was. It was just like a small holiday that I'd never even really heard of. Parades and people on stilts wearing uniforms with sparklers. It was just, you guys know how to put on a party. It was like Mardi Gras, and it was in Portland, Oregon. Okay, American here, sitting at home. Baby is fun. Yeah, well, a lot of parents are here, so you're not partying anyway. And how nice, your 4th of July is on a Friday night. Yeah, I'm Canadian. And I'm also Australian. Why do you have an American accent? I actually think I do. And the reason is I lived in Australia for 20 years. I had no Canadian or American friends the whole time I was there. It was all Aussies, Kiwis, and Pommies. And, I only saw American TV, and my spouse was Australian too. So I was completely ensconced in Australia. And the only North American accent I ever heard was TV on an American one. So yeah, I probably do sound more American. Canadian, eh? I do say a lot. Oh, this is so cute. Just a sec. Have learned to connect with my kids. Still tough, but I try. 2 years old and 6 months. Yeah, connection is everything. If you're not connected, none of the discipline works. Not the way I would want it to anyway. Connection is everything. Their love language is fun, play, laughter, joy. Yeah, you want to have a fun household. And then parents will say, but they're acting out all the time. You got to lead with the fun. You lead with what you want and deal with the stuff you don't want. But you want to come in as hard as you can with the play and the fun and the love and all that stuff. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of kids and teenagers, and they were all challenging. No one ever handed me an easy one to work with. And I always led with, I treated them like they were good. And if they did something naughty, I dealt with it. But I always treated them as if they were good. I never want kids to feel bad. I always want kids to feel good when they're with me. I remember one of the nicest things anyone ever said to me was a teenager I'd worked with who said, I didn't like myself until I met you. Wow. Is that like the nicest thing you can hear? It's kind of sad too, but yeah, you want them to feel good when they're with you. And then they want to please you. New Zealand. Hi, New Zealand. We skied in Queenstown, one of the most beautiful cities town I've ever been in, Queenstown. It's on the South Island of New Zealand. That's where we used to go to ski because we lived in Australia. And it was cheaper to fly over to New Zealand and ski than to fly. We lived up in Brisbane, than to fly down to Melbourne area and ski. It was cheaper to fly all that. Yeah, interesting, eh? And it was beautiful. So we went back there again. It was beautiful. Have you written a book? Not yet. This 2025 was going to be the year of the book. I announced it and everything. And then the podcast took off. We didn't expect that. So we're doing 2 a week. It's taking up a lot of our time. And also coaching. I was also going to cut back on coaching to do the book, but we talked about it. And my daughter and I don't need to coach. We don't need it in the business at all, but it's my favorite thing. I love coaching. I get emotional at the thought of having to give it up. So yeah, I'm still going hard with coaching, really enjoy it. That's my favorite thing. So I feel like I don't have any kids anymore. I've got a granddaughter, but I'm only babysitting her 1 day a week. But every day I get to mother all my clients. So I've got a huge I have a need to be a mother. So my whole life I've been like this. My mom said, you were mothering earthworms when you were 2. I've always needed to return to mother. So I feel like I'm mothering all my clients. And then I got my granddaughter 1 day a week. So that basket's full. It's wonderful. But if I gave up coaching, well, I just sweat, just thinking about it, clammy. I love it. So if I could maybe cut back on coaching and the podcast, I don't know how we're going to do a book, but we are planning on doing it in 2026 if everything goes well. It's just time. And I've got lots of people, I got a big following now. Lots of people have offered to ghostwrite for me. And, you get offers right, left, and center, but we're very, my daughter and I are extremely controlling with this business. We don't like anyone else coming in and doing anything. So, we want to keep the integrity of the business. So I'm worried that someone wouldn't get what I mean, if they wrote the book. So would these techniques work on a 30-year-old boyfriend? Absolutely. A lot of my clients, if they're fighting, the parents, if they're fighting, I get their own behavior board going in their master bathroom, just between the 2 of them. And it's something like this. Rule is do not undermine each other or argue in front of the kids. If they do, they get a massage. I won't go into it, but there's been all sorts of consequences. And sometimes the one parent even drew me a picture of what the wife had to do. He showed me the picture that he'd drawn on their behavior board. Yeah. That's why I love coaching. I spent a lot of time laughing. I'll tell you, it was a good one. I turned beet red when I saw it, but it was very funny. So yeah, a lot of my clients use it. And a lot of the behavior board, I've had a lot of clients who take it to work and use it with their staff. And they love it when the boss is on there. So yeah, they get to punish the boss too. So they have a lot of fun with it. It's just about accountability. Tantrum tips. You can actually look up, if you just Google BratBusters tantrums, thousands of videos will probably pop up. It'll go into more detail. You do ignore a tantrum, but there's a way of doing it. And a tantrum is not big emotions and big feelings. It's just not. It's a loss of emotional control and not getting what you want, when you want, and how you want it. It's anger and frustration based. That's why you do not need to validate that. There's some very famous podcaster, you would know who it is. And he said, he's an expert in the psychology field. And he said, how did he word it? Tantrums are a need for love and connection. That's what they're tantruming. They need more love and connection. Garbage, absolute garbage. They're just mad they didn't get what they wanted. Yeah, it's garbage. I thought, oh, jeez. As I'm listening to it, I'm at the gym and I hear this, and it's like someone really big. And so people are buying this. They believe this stuff. And as I'm listening to it, and I literally said at the gym, bunch of crap. I had to stop the podcast. They weren't even talking about parenting because I don't listen to parenting advice. Why would I? I teach it. So it's my thing. But anyway, I've never listened to anyone else, but it was just someone who was talking about something else, and they brought up that as an example. Well, a tantrum is just a need for connection and bull. Okay. How long after receiving a consequence do you enforce the consequence? Well, you don't enforce it. So let's say you say to them, okay, so the consequence, you go to the board. If they break a rule, you say, let's go to the board. You look at the board and you always read it out and go slow. Talk slowly, calmly. Now, let me see. Your rule was no hitting and you hit. So your consequence is, I'm going to get you to wash that window. Make sure it's something they know how to do. It's usually a chore. I'm going to get you to wash that window. And you've got 15 minutes to do that. And the chore should only be about 2 minutes long, but give them 15 minutes. You want to give them time to fight, argue, and procrastinate. It's important. And the 15 minutes starts now. All you are is a timekeeper. You're not enforcing anything. Don't remind them. That's weak. It's pathetic. Don't forget. Make sure you do it. That's begging. It's weak. So all you are is a timekeeper. And they're yelling, I'm not going to do it. And I would just go, whatever. It's your choice. What do I care if they do it? I could care less. I'm just a timekeeper. So the time goes. They never did it. Then you say, okay, let's go to the board. They're screaming at you. Now you go, now let me see. So you broke the rule. The consequence was that you have to do the chore. You didn't do that. So now you go to the second consequence now, and you say, okay, 24 hours of no screens. And then you shut it down. No screens for 24 hours. And then you say it starts now. That's how it's done. I hate you. I hate you. You're the worst parent ever. Whatever. So as soon as they calm down, then you say, oh, do you want to go play a game or something? No, I hate you. I hate you. Oh, never mind. Okay. Walk away. When they calm down again, you go like this. You ready for that game now? You try and connect. They may never want to play a game, but if they're little, they will. But if they're 10, 12, they might not, right? And that's fine. But you're just trying to connect. That's okay. They don't have to play a game. They don't have to connect with you, but you're giving them the olive branch. You're showing you're a leader. There's no anger. There's no discussing it. Just do it. And then it's finished. But that's not fair. You're not fair. Why aren't you talking to me? I don't know. You just, don't get pulled in. Parents do that all the time. But he said he didn't understand. Remember, you've already showed them the behavior board. You've explained it all. But I forgot. I didn't understand. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? Or you're learning as you go. That's fine. You see, just follow through. Make it happen. Stay calm. No anger. Was there ever a time you could not control your anger? Yeah, very good question. Yes, there was one time. My son was about 2 and he was having a tantrum and I lost it. I saw red. And I don't really have a temper, like overall. I don't know if it was that time of the month. I don't know what was going on. There's no excuse for it, but I did. I saw red and I had to hold myself back. I saw red. I don't know what was going on, but it was the only time and it scared me. I thought, wow. Because I've worked with so many kids and I thought I had it, but your own are different. It's harder. It's more connection. It's more emotional with your own kids. So yeah, I almost lost it. I can remember, I thought, wow, you do see red. And like I said, I don't really have a temper. I'm a reasoner. I talk everything through. Yeah, so there you go. I'm human. And the funny thing is, I had all this experience with kids, and yet it still got to me. But that's, we're human, right? Tips for a child that has disruptive impulse control disorder. Did you just make that up? I've never even heard of it. So yeah, it just says, well, I don't know how old they are. So yeah, those are all the kids I worked with were disruptive and difficult. That's where I learned all this stuff. I don't even know why I'm reading this because I don't teach this, but I'll tell you something that's cute. Advice for volunteering with a group of kids, 10 to 12. No, not troubled, just helping. Okay, there was this teacher, I don't work with groups. I only work one-on-one with kids. I've had group situations, just like maybe 5 or 6 at a time. But overall, my thing is mothering and connecting, right? But anyway, there was this teacher that I saw a few years ago. It was years ago. It went viral. You could still find it. And just look up he's a young teacher, and he has a different handshake for every single student. So when they're filing, and it was a very underprivileged area, all these kids were, come from homes that they didn't have much. And so they could have easily gotten in trouble and been difficult. Anyway, each child, as he's entering the classroom, the teacher had a very different handshake with every single one. Now, I remember thinking, oh, he just gets it. He just gets it. Each one of those kids felt special. And they would have tried to please him. He would have been a favorite teacher for sure. He just got it. So try and single out something with each kid that you connect with. Yeah. That was I just thought instant. I thought, oh, he gets it. Your advice about a toddler who throws food has changed my life. LOL. Thank you. Yeah. I haven't said that in a while. You must have done that a while ago. Yeah, that's the toddlers who throw food. In case anyone else has it, I'll tell you what it is. If a toddler throws food, you say no, you pick it up, throw it in the garbage, and then you hand feed them. They don't usually like that. They're going to start screaming. They want to feed themselves. So you say, okay, all done. Put them down. Let them have a tantrum. When they're done, put them back up. Give them a little bit of food. And then if they throw it again, do the exact same process and hand feed. Eventually, they'll be hungry enough, they'll eat. Here's the problem with that. Sometimes some kids love being hand fed. So they'll love it. So then I say, if they do like being hand fed, and you don't want to do that with a 2-year-old, right? You want them to feed themselves. So if they do like it, you get slow and stupid. So what you do is you pick up their food. Oopsie. Oh, and you accidentally drop it back on the plate. Oh. And then you go to feed them and they're like this. And then you go, oh, I forgot to do. I got to do that. Just look real slow and stupid. They'll get fed up and just start feeding themselves. That's the idea. My child keeps repeating that nobody loves him. So he's fishing and trying to reel you in. Make sure you connect with him, that he knows he's loved. You play with him, and then ignore that stuff. Just go, you're all right. I want to go play a game. Yeah, it's usually when they're in trouble, when he's mad. Now, if he says it when you're at Disneyland going around in a ride, then I would look into it. But if he's saying it just because he didn't get his own way with something, I ignore that. They'll say anything to pull you in. Nobody loves me. I hate myself. Oh, well, you'll survive. If they're mad, no way would I buy that. You know what happens? It's quite funny. I've worked with kids who've done that. Nobody loves me. You hate me. Everybody hates me. I go, whatever. Anyway, so let's get back to work. And then they just shut up and they stop talking like that. They go, oh, it didn't work on her. And then they're fine. They're happy. Yeah, don't get pulled in. Kid who refuses to eat at the table, 19 months, and wants to always eat on the couch. Who cares where they want to eat? You just put them up in their high chair, and that's the only place they can eat. My kids didn't know there was any option. They've only ever eaten at a table. They had no clue that you could eat anywhere else. So I'm thinking you're inconsistent. You've probably let them eat on the couch, and then because they don't understand inconsistencies and exceptions. So my kids literally had no clue that you could walk around with food. They'd never done it. I never allowed it. Never. So I remember we'd have friends over and their kids would walk around my pristine, beautiful, clean house with dirty hands and food. And I was just horrified. Like, how can you do that at someone's house? Anyway, so I'd let them walk around with food because that's what they did. My kids were like, what are they doing? They just didn't understand. So yeah, they don't understand exceptions and inconsistencies. So just make sure that the only place they can ever eat is at the table. When can you start disciplining? You can start teaching them right from wrong at about 10 months old. You can just, but you never want to say, you just say no. So if they hit, you just go no, you hold their hand, then you redirect. So you never want to make them cry. They'll start to understand the word no, and then they'll understand hitting no, they'll put it together. Eventually, doesn't mean they're going to stop doing it right away. They can't always control themselves, but you're teaching them right from wrong. By about 16 months, that's when they're a toddler, 16 to 35 months, the way I look at it. That's when you start having consequences. You don't just redirect. You use consistent corrective actions. So if they hit, you say no, and then you might take a favorite toy away, or you remove fun from them or remove them from the fun. That's the idea. But you got to be fast. It's got to be right in the moment. And then they'll connect the dots. Wait a minute, when I hit, something bad happens. I lose a toy or I'm pulled away from the fun. What was the question? I forgot the question. When do you start disciplining? Yeah. Yeah. You want them to start learning? No, but you're not really disciplining. You're just redirecting when they're babies. I've been doing the behavior board for 2 weeks. My 6-year-old is pushing back hard. Will it stop? Now you're on there too. You're messing up too, right? She's 6 or he's 6. So they usually get on board because of you being on there. Is your consequence incentive enough for them to be on board with the board? Like your consequence is the connection. So if you mess up, make sure you mess up. If you mess up, then you have to play hide and seek for 10 minutes. When they see you being accountable, they're more likely to be accountable. And yeah, they do push back. Just be consistent. I never put attitude on the board. It's always just actions. Unless they swear or name call, you can put that on the board. That's not attitude. That's actually saying, it's a little bit different. But you can't put attitude, like don't yell at me or anything. You can't put anything like that on there. So yeah, just get them to put their shoes in the cubby. They might have to stop hitting. That might be a good one. But yeah, so just follow through. It should work eventually. If it's not working, you might want to check out the course. It just goes into more detail. Because oftentimes parents will hire me and they'll say, it wasn't working. It's no good. And well, why'd you hire me if you hate what I teach, right? And they said, but there's something they were doing wrong. It's often something little, but it might be, if you look angry, frustrated, or disappointed, it's not good. Don't show any anger. It's weak. You're not a leader if you're showing anger. I haven't told this story in a while, but I always get permission when I tell these stories. One story was hilarious and I forgot to get permission and I'd forgotten which client had told me. So I never got, if you're out there, you might know what I'm talking about because it was really funny. Anyway, I can't tell that one. Anyway, what story was I just going to tell? Oh yeah, this mom. This is about how you can't show any anger. So she said, I did what you said, Lisa. She says, we were out. Oh, how was it? Oh, she goes, I did what you said. And she gave her teenager, older kid, giving her the finger or something. I can't remember. She goes, but I didn't. And I said, well, show me what you said. Like, show me what you said. And the mother had gone like this. Okay, so you've got 10 minutes to empty the dishwasher. And then I said, because show me exactly how you talked to her and why she told you to F off. It was this 12-year-old or something. So the mom said, I said to her, okay, you've got 10 minutes to empty the dishwasher. And then the mom went like that. And I said, you rolled your eyes. And she said, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. Do it again. So I said, okay, you got 10 minutes to empty the dishwasher. I said, you did it again. She rolled her eyes. You can't do that. So I said, okay, one more time. She goes, and I said, and the last time she did it, she goes, okay, so I go like this then, right, Lisa? She goes, okay, you've got 10 minutes to empty the dishwasher. Like, she just couldn't not show her disgust and anger. She couldn't not do it. So I said, next time, say this. You got 10 minutes to empty the dishwasher. Like, she just couldn't control herself. You can't show anger, frustration, or disappointment. Yeah, it gets in the way. So maybe that's what's happening. God, I wish that client, I don't know. And I can't acknowledge clients when they're on a live either. I never say hi to them because I don't want to identify them as a client. So, and this client has been on my lives quite a few times. And I think it's the one that the story was about. So I would love to get permission with that story. Okay. What to do when you're exhausted and still need to maintain corrective action. That's like saying to a diet center, What if I've eaten right all day, but there's chocolate cake in the fridge? That's the hard part. You just got to keep pushing through because it's worth it in the end. So I can't help you. Like, it's just like that dieting thing. What if I'm too tired to do this? Well, then it's not going to work. Like, you got to do it to make it work. So sorry about that, but it's just part of it. But it's temporary. Getting respect is hard work, but it's temporary. Once you've got it, maintaining it's easy. But getting it is hard. 3 to 6 weeks, you should start to see results. It really cements in 3 to 6 months. If they're older, especially, it takes longer. But it's you. It's all you. And you got to get control. Once you know how well this works, it's easier to get control too. It's easier to do. It's not as emotionally draining because you know how well it works and you just get used to doing it. And I actually love when kids threaten me, like that 8-year-old who said, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said, bring it on. And you know what was funny about that? Those are the kids that are the quickest for me to get respect with because they push the hardest. So it happens the fastest. And they're relieved. They're like, finally, a leader. That's what they've been after the whole time. They want leadership. They crave it. They need it. They want it. That's how they ask for it. They're snotty. That's their way of saying, can you please leave me? So when I said, bring it on, that's what he wanted. He wanted someone who wasn't afraid of him, who has no fear of his fits. Bring it on. That's where all the lessons are. The fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums are the lessons. If you handle it calmly and don't buy into it, that is the lesson. That's where they're learning. So don't be afraid of it. Never show frustration, disappointment, or anger when you're disciplining. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, oops, I've got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board when you sign up to the newsletter, my toddler bootcamp course, my 3 to 12-year-old bootcamp course. If you want to get on the wait list for coaching, that's on there also. Or you can look into our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And we also save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I do it together. We work together. We're best friends, and we do the podcast together. So she comes up with all the ideas, and she gathers, she organizes all that stuff. I don't know anything about it. And then she asks me all the questions. So I never know what we're going to be talking about. Never. I can't plan anything. I don't work that way. If I had to plan anything, I can't do it. Even when I do the odd interview, I used to do a lot of TV and radio. I don't want to know ahead of time. I don't want to know anything because I don't work that way. It's just then I'm contrived. And anyway, so yeah, she doesn't tell me anything that we're going to be talking about. It's always a surprise. We have a blast doing it. Okay. Thanks so much for joining. And, oh, by the way, if you want to submit questions for the podcast, that is on the website also, BratBusters.com. The only 2 places I answer parenting questions, other than coaching, obviously, is here and on the podcast. So you can submit questions for that. And that's how my daughter decides what we're going to be talking about. Anyway, thanks so much. Happy parenting and happy 4th of July to all my American friends. Bye now.